Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network tonight, formerly Smith Radio. I keep picking the one that anyways, never mind. It's all good. Tuning in every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on New Right Network tonight. You can follow Carrie and myself on Twitter at Smith Radio and at Brian P. Smith. Look down at the bottom of the screen. Also check the show notes. There's tons of links in the show notes where you can jump over to New Right Network tonight, smith.tv, and newrightnetwork.com. Great information. It is the MAGA coalition, if you will, of great writers, speakers, and this is the movement, folks. This is the real news movement that will carry on beyond 2024 after Donald Trump is out of office. We need to get the real news media solidified, get the foundation down, and move forward. So if this is the first time you watch a show, crush the share, crush the like, crush the follow. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, I don't know if Facebook's got notifications or not, but if you're on YouTube, definitely hit the bell and then also subscribe for notifications. And with that being said, today's show, we've got some deep state stuff that just kind of came out over the weekend. A big weekend. Lots of news that was dropped on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lots of things that are going on. The Democrats are spinning a new they're picking up old spins and they're using them and they're doing them again. We're back to Donald Trump's taxes again. Russia failed on its face. The border's failing on its face. Everything that they're doing is absolutely failing. And now this weekend, we're back, circling back around to Donald Trump's taxes. Pure insanity. We'll get into some of that. Some breaking news about General Flynn and some of the things that went on during the 2015, 2016 election and the past couple of years with the Russia. And again, the Democrats are on display. They're all running for 2020. I don't know. I can't keep up with how many there are running now. Maybe about a dozen or two, maybe 2 dozen running for the nomination of the Democrat Party. Snowball's chance in hell, folks. I just can't see when you have a president and an economy that is just so incredible that the news refuses to write about it, and Donald Trump tweets about it all day long. And we talk about it right here on the show every single night, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, we're on the Facebooks, New Right Network, on the YouTube at New Right Network, and also at our old handle at Smith Radio, and then again on Periscope and Twitter, New Right Network as well, and at Smith Radio. Barack Obama showed his head, poked his head up this past weekend. I got to play the clip, folks. You're not going to like it. I didn't like it either. I had to turn it off. I couldn't finish the clip, but I've got to play the clip for you because you've got to remember where we came from. You got to remember how bad it was with Barack Obama. He's at it again, doing his Bash America tour. You'll be shocked. If you haven't heard already, you'll be shocked at what he said, how he said it, and now you won't be shocked. No, it's him. It's him being him. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to pull him out of the woods, but they certainly did, and they got him speaking now. Not in America because people don't show up, but over in Germany, over in Berlin, where I guess it's easier to – I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they had a band playing to bring a bunch of people to the table. We've got the firings, obviously. You see the title of the show, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a businessman. Donald Trump is the CEO of what I've been told over 500 corporations at some point in time in his entire life. Donald Trump is the boss, like really the boss. And when he hires somebody to do a specific job, And that person then is delegated his authority. Donald Trump delegates his authority. You go ahead and you do your job. This is your job, X, Y, and Z. That individual is now tasked to do their job. Hire people, follow their budgets, all kinds of stuff in the background. And if you're not doing your job or you're not doing it to the expectations of the boss, you tend to lose your job. See, in politics, and this is why the left is freaking out. Well, not freaking out. They're having fun with it. They're trying to run with Donald Trump firing people because they've never seen this before, ever. Nobody has ever seen a politician make such grand leadership decisions like Donald Trump is making. And Donald Trump is making these decisions because things got to get done. And if they're not getting done, well, I got to get somebody in to get the job done. So we'll get into the whole thing with Christian Nielsen, the head secretary, DHS, and also, Secret Service. Where'd it go? Secret Service agent fired as well. Oh, okay, right there. Secret Service Director Randolph Ailes to leave the post shortly. We'll talk about that as well. And folks, that was the incident that happened last week. We didn't mention it; just didn't hit the show notes, and it was so quick and out. It was the Asian woman that jumped Donald Trump's property down there in Mar-a-Lago with, malware and a thumb drive, and I don't know the whole situation, but I don't know if you remember the Secret Service under Barack Obama. Women of the night, drugs, crazy parties that went to all hours of the night. And I think some of those deep staters might still be there. This is unacceptable to allow something like this to happen. It was unacceptable under Barack Obama that the Secret Service would allow somebody to jump the White House fence, literally make it inside the front door and down the hallway. Yeah, they locked the door now. Door never used to be locked. It's now locked. This is unacceptable. I know Gary Burns, Secret Service agent, and Dan Bongino, they take their job seriously. And granted, it's one of those jobs where you've got to get it right every single time, because the one time you don't get it right, the president of the United States is dead. That's how serious this job is. And if you're the head of the Secret Service and you're the director of the Secret Service and things just aren't working to Donald Trump's liking, sorry, that's just it. Something else that the left, the Democrats, the politicians, something they tend to forget too, is that when it comes to Donald Trump's position and what Donald Trump is in charge of, Donald Trump is the dictator of these departments. This is one of those things where you got to get it right. If it's not getting right, then you got to move on. So we'll get into that. Jim Jordan talking Democrats wanting to abolish ICE. That's a losing proposition. I'm beside myself with all these ideas that the left is coming up with that just don't work. Don't work whatsoever. And then Donald Trump tweeting out. And then we've got some other things going on with California still slipping off the edge. And then if we got Democrats agreeing with Donald Trump, we got Bernie Sanders agreeing with Donald Trump. And these are the videos that mainstream media won't let out. You won't see these. They're just not going to be out because they don't want you to know what some of these liberal knuckleheads are doing. And let me tell you, Barack Obama in Germany, this is bad. This is bad PR for America. This really shows the globalist struggle to regain the one country that has left the train station. We don't want nothing to do with the globalist agenda. Yet they're desperate. It is the entire world, not the citizens of the world, but the entire governments of the world that are against our government single-handedly. All the globalists of the world are against us in total, against Donald Trump and the American people. We escaped, barely escaped, this past election, 2016. And for those of you in Great Britain, I got to apologize again. For those of you in France, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Whatever revolution it's going to take again to make that happen, I have no idea. But again, Barack Obama and the way that he speaks, the way that Hillary Clinton speaks, Ocasio-Cortez, Kamala Harris, all these Democrats, Booker, Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the anger and the name calling and the vitriol gets their base so riled up and so emotional. This is how wars start, folks. Hitler was notorious for giving these just emotional speeches to get people to do something. If you get them emotional, you can get them to do something. And so you saw Donald Trump during the election, getting people fired up, getting them emotional, believing in their country once again. Hillary Clinton, not so much. Not so much. She had to get Bernie Sanders to go out there and run the course for her the last few months. Barack Obama, not invoking emotion, but the anger and the hate that people are starting to have with your base. Again, my dad, I was talking with him. He just came back into town. One of we call snowbirds here in Cincinnati. During the wintertime, they fly off to Florida, and then when spring hits, they come back. So he's back into town. We were talking today, and he asked me if I'd caught some of Rush Limbaugh's show, and I did. I caught it for the first time in a while for a couple hours this morning, and he was talking to me about AOC and how educated white folk in her district voted for AOC. Educated, but tricked. You can be as educated as book knowledge and smart as you could possibly be, but yet still get duped into this global warming, duped into the event horizon is 12 years away. You can get tricked into believing these things. He was talking with a really well-educated individual, and accidentally global warming slipped out, and they got all fired. Guy got all riled up and all fired up. And then my dad said to me, he said, "Hey, have you seen those freeways out there in China and Beijing? And how many lanes you think there's on those freeways?" He said it was packed to pack. It was a parking lot. I said, well, in Los Angeles, I've seen 7 to 10 lanes on one side. So maybe 20 lanes total, 10 lanes on each side. He said, no, it's 15 lanes a side. It's 30 lanes, and it's packed. Not only that, but China's bringing on coal-fired plants, dozens and dozens, weeks and weeks, just speeding up because they're desperate for energy, and they're bringing these coal-fired plants on. They're going in the opposite direction. So for Alexandria Cortez and the Democrats to keep screaming global warming, global warming, global warming, we know, even if it was true, there's absolutely nothing that you could possibly do, because you can't get the Chi-Coms to agree to almost anything, let alone to tell them to cut back on their global warming, their energy uses and their pollution output. I know back in the 90s when I was in the Air Force and I was stationed over in Italy, they were still driving vehicles that were 20, 30, 40 years old, the little Vespas that were 20, 30, 40 years old that ran on leaded fuel. Buying leaded fuel at any gas station you want in the country of Italy in the late 90s, 97, 98, 99, 2000. You can't get rid of the leaded fuel because so many people own so many vehicles that are made and dependent upon the leaded fuel. Yet we're the ones responsible for global warming, not buying it. And just as Ocasio-Cortez was triggered and gaslit by Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and Al Gore with the global warming alarmist, she grew up in that era. AOC grew up watching and listening to Al Gore, Barack Obama, all these alarmist of over this global warming hoax, if you will. And so she got so triggered. She got so gaslit and so triggered that she got involved with an organization that ran candidates as if they were puppets. Casting call, get her in there and get it going. She's the best one for the job in the sense that we can pull her strings, we can write her script, she'll get emotional about it, and she'll get fired up and she'll deliver it. Well, it's getting worse. They are now, and she when I say they, Ocasio-Cortez taken to Instagram and now gaslighting even more youth. And this young lady, as crazy as she looks, it's extremely sad to see that this is where how far it's come, how far it's fallen, and how really mentally twisted these individuals are. And so what I did in this video is I took and I enhanced it a little bit. She complains about Pepe the Frog, and for some of you seasoned veterans, it's a meme war thing. It's like them calling us deplorable, and we say, yeah, we are. The Pepe the Frog is just, it's hard to explain, but it's a joke. The left can't meme. The left can't make jokes. And so I went ahead and I took it upon myself to help this young lady out with her video to spruce it up a little bit. So for those of you audio only, apologize. But for those of you watching the video, I hope you enjoy the remake, the redux that I did with this video clip.
I'm pissed off and I'm angry and I'm disgusted, and I made a video ranting about it, but I don't even think I want to post it because I don't want to give them that much attention. We'll see where it goes. You know, I'll keep the video on ice and we'll just see how far they want to take this. But I'm ready to go to war. I'm ready to go to mother core. You're not going to take a symbol of happiness and acceptance and multiculturalism and turn it into something racist and anti-Semitic and homophobic and transphobic. You're not going to do that on my watch. You're not. So Pepe, he belongs to me now. Pepe the Frog, with his curly ass afro clown wig, belongs to me. That is a symbol of the resistance now. I encourage you all to share. I'm going to Photoshop a picture of Pepe with just tons of pro LGBTQ symbols and pro black symbols, and we are taking Pepe back. He's mine. I'm adopting him. I'm saving him from these freaks, these degenerates who think that it's okay to take a symbol of happiness and just it's disgusting. It's sickening. It's sickening that people would take such a positive thing like clowns and try to make it into a symbol for your racism. You're pathetic. The clown emoji belongs to us, the Lunchables. Pepe the Frog, the clown version, and just him in general, honestly, because he's been through a lot. He belongs to us, the Lunchables. You really thought, you neckbeard, Cheeto, dust, butt sniffing, fart sniffing, living with your mother, father, grandma, I don't care, you assholes. I have adopted Pepe and he's mine. They want to, we're going to put the symbol out there. You put it out there, well, guess what? I grabbed his ass and now he's mine. You cannot take this from me. I will not let you. Clowns are a symbol of happiness and acceptance. And like I said, multiculturalism, we embrace everybody. We embrace you whether you're black.
This is what we're up against, folks. This is the danger that is out there. This is what's really, really, really scary, is that these individuals, she is truly believing everything she says. If this is a joke, it's hard to fool me, but if this is a joke, this woman went all out. And for those of you audio only, she has shaved the front half of her head back to like her ears is shaved, and the top is shaved down the middle to like the crown, the back of her head, and the rest of her hair is left fluffed out, kind of like Bozo the Clown. No, literally, almost like Bozo the Clown. And so this is what the left has created. They've created a monster, a nightmare. This generation that is out there that has been brainwashed by the Department of Education, brainwashed by their college professors, brainwashed in the sense of their parents didn't know either. It goes back to the Department of Education, and you've got Hollywood, Hollyweird, and it's just absolutely insane. And I mentioned she's talking about Pepe the Frog, the clown version. She has clown makeup on. She looks like a clown. This is too easy to make fun of. And the danger of that is that somebody like this, if she saw the meme that I put up, kind of making jokes about it, she would be the kind of person that would take to a violent, physically violent stance that would lash out because she's never been taught any other, never been taught to verbalize her emotions or something. This is out of control. It's very, very dangerous. So let's get into the news of the day. Let's get into everything that's going on. Let's get right up to the top and start out with Deep State. Deep, I call it, at Jolly_cat. It is now establishment fact. GCHQ, and we know GCHQ because during the Russiagate, GCHQ, which we didn't know, but we know now, is the British intelligence headquarters that actually has an office in the FBI headquarters. And so we now know that GCHQ is being used in a non-official way to spy on real Donald Trump's camp. British spy agency GCHQ was digitally wiretapping Trump's associates going all the way back to late 2015. This by AIM.org. We've been reporting on this for well over a year. I'm sorry. Something vibrated. I don't know what's going on. We've been reporting on this well over a year. We did our show, Russia, back December 11th, 2016, where we pretty much debunked the whole thing. Just all the details in play. All the details have come out. Adam Schiff is still screaming that he's got evidence. This is a crying shame. A sitting congressman to still be going after the President of the United States. This is beyond insanity. But you got to understand, too, he's got to keep up the charade because what was he doing meeting with Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson? In Colorado at a hotel room. What was he doing? How many times, Adam Schiff, did you meet with actors that were involved in the Russiagate, the Spygate? How many times did you get involved? How much information did you pass off to the media? What was your role and involvement? We know it was at least a very small part, at the very bare minimum. We know that you've lied about it at the bare minimum. So things about Adam Schiff coming out more and more. And then this is where it's getting really, really, really tough to be able to trust the media. Very, very difficult to trust just about anybody out there reporting on Russiagate in the sense that when the Democrats are saying there's still there, we still have proof. We just need to go into another investigation. Bill Barr is in the pockets of Donald Trump. New York Times last week, fake news, saying that a source to a source, second source to second source, said that Mueller's report really does have damaging information, which we all know to be factually incorrect. But the New York Times running cover for the Democrats while the Democrats try to keep spinning this and keep getting this out. This by @PaulSpeary_, breaking information from highly classified Flynn intercepts circulated from McCabe to Comey to Clapper to Washington Post, making Clapper a top suspect in illegal leak to Washington Post. Mueller came across this chain of information during his probe, yet never bothered to prosecute the leak. Yes, folks, you heard that correct. McCabe to Comey. See, McCabe was deputy. Comey was attorney general. Comey then to Clapper. And we know Comey's already a leaker. McCabe's a leaker. Comey's a leaker. We know Comey's a leaker. Comey told us so. Comey told us that he leaked his memo, his notes about the meeting he had with Donald Trump. He leaked them to a professor, and then the professor then leaked them to the media. Comey said that he had to do that because it was important that that information got out. That's punishable by going to jail. That's punishable by going to jail. So we know Comey's a leaker, and then Comey to Clapper, and we know Clapper is a very dirty individual, a loyalist to the Obama clan, as well as a deep stater willing to subvert the will of the people to leak it to the Washington Post, which we refer to as the Washington Compost for this reason. Also, information leaked out to Mother Jones, and that stuff was posted as well. It is out there. We know where it is. We've got Donald Trump tweeting out about this. Donald Trump absolutely to the hilt, just done with this. And at the New York Post, Devin Nunez to send 8 referrals to Barr for FBI Justice Department bias probe. So Devin Nunez on the front of this. Devin Nunez has seen all of the information. He's been in the forefront of this intel committee, getting the real information and getting that back out to us. Hats off to Devin Nunez for doing a phenomenal job, even under fire from the Democrats and the fake news media. And so Devin Nunez is taking the next step needed to drain the swamp, if you will, of deep staters, to hold people accountable so that when Donald Trump says that this should never, ever happen again, this shouldn't happen to Democrats. This shouldn't happen to independents. This shouldn't happen to Americans, citizens. This should not happen to anybody. I'm not partisan on this. This is a bipartisan issue. We should all be able to come together and agree on one single thing. Nobody should be spying on American citizens without proper warrants, proper notification, not this process crimes, not this dawn morning raids on retired elderly gentleman and his wife and her dead asleep and her gown, getting them up, getting them out, holding them at gunpoint when he had already committed through his lawyer and had been cooperating the entire time. Roger Stone, you could have called him and he would have showed up. He'd been cooperating the entire time. This was the biggest shakedown that we have ever seen in American history. And Devin Nunez, this by at JARRAD Kushner. Okay, so this is a parody account of Jared Kushner. However, nonetheless, this is a quote from Nunez. At Representative Nunez on why he is sending 8 referrals direct to Attorney Bill Barr this week. Quote, it gets complicated because you have the top officials at the Department of Justice and the FBI that are likely involved in the referrals we're going to make. Read that sentence again. It gets complicated because you have the top officials of the DOJ and the FBI that are likely involved in the referrals we're going to make. What he is saying there, folks, and we just know just because we've been reporting on this, you guys know because you've been tweeting out about this and you've been digging in and you've been finding out what this is all about, that Rod Rosenstein, as dirty as he is, he absolutely should be held accountable for all the things that he has done wrong. You've got Mueller, you've got Weissman, you've got, where's the, here we go. We've got the Russia stuff. You got Brennan, Clapper, Rosenstein, McCabe is already gone, Peter Strzok is gone, Comey's gone, but certainly, at the very bare minimum, Peter Strzok should be held accountable for everything that he had been involved in. This is just absolutely so awful. Bruce Orr has been demoted, but I believe Bruce Orr is still there. Bruce Orr is the one, his wife Nellie Orr, working for Fusion GPS, and him and his wife meeting with Christopher Steele, meeting with Fusion GPS Glenn Simpson, rounding up the information, also being out there in the Ukraine with the Ukrainian politicians and the top law enforcement in the Ukraine, which would be like our FBI, would be like a Comey, working with Putin, working with Russia to overthrow our duly elected election for Hillary Clinton, caught on tape. These folks need to be held. Eric Holder, and again I said Weissman, Priestap, Schultz, Page, Lynch, Sally Yates. Sally Yates really needs to be brought up on the charges of not dereliction of duty at the very least. And then Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, and Mills, Cheryl Mills. This is where it's come to. It's come to a head, folks. And Donald Trump and company, Republican company, if you will, doing everything they can to make things right. I'm excited about where this is going, and I'm excited about how this is turning out. Okay. I didn't know if I was going to talk about this or not, but I'm going to just make it real quick and real simple. I love all you guys. I love every one of you. I follow thousands of people. I think I'm always following 20,000 people, and there's 22,000 people following me. So there's lots of interaction all the time. And I see tweets out from Q people. I just kind of walk by and let it go. I had a conversation with my cousin, my co-host who's here, Missy. He's MIA on Mondays and Thursdays, so I just do a freestyle scope like this. But we had a conversation over the weekend, and we talk all the time. Matter of fact, he spent 5 or 6 hours hanging out at the house the other night, and we were talking on the phone on Sunday. So we're always discussing topics of the day, issues that are going on. And let me just be perfectly clear. Whether Q is true or not, that is not my beef. I don't care if he's true. You could say he's true, and that's okay. I don't care. The Q I knew who originally started the Q. I knew the guy who started the Q. It was a parody. It wasn't supposed to be what it's morphed into. We believe somebody else has taken on with that and run with it. There are a lot of people that are propping up the Q or interpreting the Q, the Anons, as they call themselves, that are almost pretending to be disciples of the Savior Q. Okay? Here's my point. We don't need Q. You don't need Q. Q can pretty much be irrelevant, and it doesn't matter. Here's what's real. Don't put anyone up on the shelf. Don't put Donald Trump on the shelf. Don't put Nancy Pelosi on the shelf. Don't put any human being on the shelf. And when I say on the shelf, on high, at the pinnacle. Because the only person that should be on the shelf, the only person that should be pinnacle is Christ. That is it. And you should be attempting to develop your relationship with him. A lifelong journey for all of us, doing whatever I can to get myself in the right position, to learn as much as I possibly can. This journey started for me about 5 years ago. You could say born again Christian. I know they really beat up on George Bush for saying that, but whatever. I don't care. I'll take the heat. It doesn't bother me. But the only person that should be up on that shelf is Christ, not Donald Trump, not Q. If you want answers, pray about it. If you want to listen to some of the prophets that are prophesying about things that are to come, which I believe is true. I believe that there are miracles every day. I believe that there's prophecies every day. You got to be careful about the prophecies. Just like the oracle, they're never clear. And they're always difficult to understand, and they usually don't turn out the way you think they will. So you got to be careful about that. With everything that has been done to America, Go all the way back to the movie, the documentary Conspiracy World War I, where first communist president Woodrow Wilson drug us into World War I for us to give up massive amounts of security for a little bit of to give up a lot of our freedom for a little bit of security. We've lost so much since then. So for this to have happened with Donald Trump is a miracle in itself, and leave it at that. Focus on what's real. For those of you who are studying Q information, you're wasting your time. You could be out knocking on doors. You could be out making phone calls. You could be out helping Scott Pressler. You could be out helping us. There's so many other constructive things that you could be doing. And I know that you're going to scream and yell at me and say, well, it's true. It's true. That's all right. It could be true all day long. It's also true that General Flynn didn't do nothing. But with that being said, that's not going to help us win 2020. That's not going to help us get back the House. That's not going to help us advance the Senate. So I'm pleading with you. There's no angst. I'm not mad. I'm not frustrated. Just hear me and understand there are more productive avenues that we need to pursue to come together, and don't allow this to get in between each other. All right, my piece is said. I'm done. I'm done. And so, as I was talking about, the deep state and the Democrats going crazy, and they turned the corner this weekend, and they're now going back for taxes. Donald Trump's taxes. We got Representative Jim Jordan from the great state of Ohio. We hang our hats on Jim Jordan, his family. We know them all. We know them well. Wrestling community here out of Ohio, just incredible people. And Jim Jordan on C-SPAN being asked questions and interviewed about this whole crazy nonsense with the Democrats and Donald Trump's taxes.
Do you believe the president should make his tax returns public?
No. It's up to him. If he wants to, fine. If he doesn't want to, fine. There's no law that says they have to be public. So what scares me is the fact that you have leaders in the United States Congress, for political reasons, trying to force the IRS to make public an American citizen's tax return.
It's 6 years' worth, and they've sought it from the Treasury using a 1924 law that allows them to examine it in case there's an evidence of conflict of interest. Now, do you think what they're doing is legal, and do you think they will ultimately get their hands on the tax returns, and when?
I think when you have people in the Congress for political reasons who are trying to get access to someone's tax returns, that's as wrong as it gets. And I think it should scare every single American that this is where the Chairman Neal wants to go. But frankly, probably shouldn't surprise us. Remember, it was just a few years ago where the Obama administration systematically and for a sustained period of time targeted people through the IRS for their political beliefs. They did it. We called for an audit, an investigation. The Inspector General at Treasury did the investigation and came back and said, yes, they were going after conservative groups around this country for their political beliefs. So it shouldn't surprise us that Democrats are doing it now, I guess, because they've done it before, but it doesn't make it right. It is still wrong, and we should not. I think it's a scary thing that we're seeing.
Some Republicans think he should release his tax returns just for transparency, and that all presidential candidates and presidents.
That's a big difference between, some Republicans think he should. I leave it up to the president. If he wants to, fine. If he doesn't want to, fine. There's a big difference in that he should, and the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee of the United States House of Representatives trying to get access to it for political reasons, which is everyone knows that's what's going on. That is a big difference. I don't think the American people, frankly, care. I think what the American people like is the record they've seen under President Trump's leadership in the last 2.5 years. I mean, it's truly been a phenomenal 2.5 years. The jobs report came out today. 196,000 new jobs last month. So you think about in 2.5 years, we've seen regulations reduced, taxes cut, the economy growing at an unbelievable rate. All kinds of new jobs have been added over that 2.5 years. Lowest unemployment in 50 years. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh now on the court. We're out of the crazy Iran deal. The embassy is in fact in Jerusalem. And hostages are home from North Korea. And oh, by the way, we're going to get a new NAFTA agreement pretty soon. That's a pretty darn amazing record in 2.5 years. That's what the American people care about. But Democrats in Congress, we want to use some law from way back when for political reasons to try to go get the president's tax returns so we can go after his personal business record. Remember what Cummings did this week? He's writing letters to, last week he wrote a letter to the accounting firm, Mazars, trying to get business information on the Trump organization for the last 10 years. He's also this week has sent a letter to the bank that did a lot of the Trump organization did a lot of business with, trying to get banking records. This is unprecedented because they are so focused on getting the president and not focused on where I think we should be, which is helping the country.
Absolutely, folks. There it is right there, Jim Jordan. Just laying it out, clear as day. These people are jaws are in their chairs. They have nothing to come back and say because everything he's saying makes clear and perfect sense. This has been probably the most incredible 2 years I think I have ever seen. Rocket Man, for all intents and purposes, I know he brought it up. We got our remains back from North Korea, but Rocket Man, for all intents and purposes, no more rockets. They are not launching, haven't launched any more rockets. Yeah, the deal may be a little cold right now, but he's not launching rockets. That's a good thing, folks. That's a real good thing. And I told you I got to do this to you. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to torture you. I'm doing this because you have to know. You have to hear this. You've got to remember where we came from and why we need to stay the course and continue doing what we're doing. This by at Tom S. Elliott. Europe in 2019 in some ways has achieved the pinnacle of human well-being. What? Collectively, Barack Obama, collectively in Europe right now, on average, you'll probably see the highest standards of living in any group of people in the history of the planet, wealthier, healthier, better educated. I'm not making this up. This really was by Barack Hussein Obama.
To be done, because we live in uncertain times. We're confronted by big questions about how to organize our communities and our countries in the international order. Here in Berlin, we have to recognize that this moment is full of contradictions because Europe in 2019, in some ways, has achieved the pinnacle of human well-being. I mean, collectively in Europe right now, on average, you probably see the highest standards of living of any group of people in the history of the planet.
I remind you. Just remind you, he's in Germany, which is being overrun by Islamic migrants destroying Germany.
You're better educated.
This is the globalist agenda. Look at France is falling. Look at Britain is falling, and the Pied Piper is singing a tune saying that, no, man, you guys are the best. Globalism is where it's at, and this is what he's doing. He's praising globalism.
The continent has largely been at peace for 70 years. You have
what? He's talking about World War II? This is nuts. This is absolute insanity. He's gaslighting them, and he's rewriting history.
Unprecedented information at your fingertips. You can travel freely across borders that once were closed. Our societies have made great strides to extend opportunity and educate our children and care for the sick and to pursue equality for people no matter what you look like or how you worship or who you love. So you would think that everybody'd feel pretty good right now. And yet, what we also know is that powerful forces are threatening to reverse many of these trends. The democratic institutions that help to bring these about oftentimes have been taken for granted. The planet that we live on is endangered. Some of the contradictions of our economies and how we produce and dispose of goods and services continually now doesn't appear to be as sustainable, particularly if, understandably, other parts of the world want to achieve the same kinds of standards of living as we have.
He is completely talking over and past them. He is absolutely lying. The most amazing thing about this speech over in Germany is that Barack Hussein Obama referred to himself over 400 times. Can anyone say narcissist? Thank you. Donald Trump says we, us, you, me. That's what it's all about. It's not about globalism, and it's not about this whole united world government. Because as we see, when other cultures are dropped into different cultures, there's a clash of cultures, and if they don't assimilate to the new culture, you're literally gonna split the country. That's what they want, because then they can keep everybody down. And then Nancy Pelosi losing the Democrats at Boyd _2650. Fire them all. That's all I've got to say about it. It's month 4 of Democrat-controlled House, and what do they have to show for it? Nada. They won't write a budget proposals because division is their caucus. That's their main responsibility. #5 the Dems. They're running 2020, but their base is asking, what are you doing? Fighting Trump is not a policy. Fighting and screaming about Trump this, Trump taxes, Trump bank records, all that's not that does nothing. That does nobody any good. Independents see that, intelligent individuals see that, and this wind up really bad, which is fine for me. It don't bother me at all. I'm trying to hurry up and get through this real quick. This at Steve Scalise. Breaking, House Republicans just formed a long line on the House floor to sign my discharge petition that will force a vote on the Born Alive Act and make all members tell the American people where they stand on infanticide. Now let's see if Democrats will join us. #let us vote. Why he is doing this is he is first off saving. It's all about the babies. You've got to start saving these babies from being murdered. And secondly, it's putting the Democrats on display. Nancy Pelosi half-heartedly swept under the rug the anti-Semitism that Democrats became enraged about, because there are Democrats, lots of Democrats that are Jews. You've got Nancy Pelosi not saying anything about Virginia governor, black-faced, and saying that murdering the baby outside the womb is acceptable. Let's write it into law. And then shortly after that, Steve Scalise then tweeted back out again, 3 Democrats have signed my discharge petition to bypass Nancy Pelosi and bring a bill to save the babies born alive during abortions from being killed up for a vote. We need 18 more Dems to sign on to get it to the floor. Call your representative and tell them to help. #infanticide. There are a lot of Democrats in red states that have to do this, because if they don't, their constituents will go against them. There are a lot of Democrats out there, notice, I would think that after Barack Obama, if you were a Democrat, and finding out you've been lied to for the last umpteen years by the Democrat Party, I would think you'd be walking away by now. But if you're still this old blue dog Democrat, this JFK Democrat, I'm sorry, man. That party's done set sail. So those Democrats are pro-Second Amendment and pro-life. Those individuals have to vote for this because they won't get reelected. And this John McGeever, 70, Massachusetts, hashtag Democrats push new infanticide bill and gain support from the Boston Globe staff who publishes articles defending abortion expansion. Wish at Live Action would get involved and deliver some truth about Planned Parenthood. We saw up the street from our house a big sign in front of somebody's yard saying, "I stand with Planned Parenthood." That is the most evil thing that I have. That's tough, folks. That's tough, and we got to get the word out. And again, border crisis, and this is at a breaking point. Donald Trump had a meeting with DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen over the weekend, and she gave her resignation in on Sunday. Kirstjen was a placeholder or appointed there. She was just there to kind of hold the seat to see if maybe she was only temporary. She's only temporary. General John Kelly was there originally and did such a phenomenal job that the administration believed that they could use him elsewhere while Kirstjen Nielsen was there. Kirstjen Nielsen could not convey or could not move the Senate to do anything. And if you say, yeah, right, Brian, well, Donald Trump can't get the Senate to do anything either. He has got the Senate to do things. He's got the House to do things. She was not able to get Congress. She couldn't push back on it. She had no power. She didn't do anything. She was sitting a duck. She was just sitting duck. That was it. Had to be replaced. She's now being replaced by Kevin McCann. We'll see how it goes. He's an interim while Donald Trump may nominate somebody else. We'll see how that works out. But it absolutely has to be. This is it. This is it. The border has to be locked up. The border, we have to back up Mexico and literally put the pressure on them to stop these caravans from even forming. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars being spent to get 20,000 people, thousands of miles on foot to our border. This cannot stand. We will not last as a country if it stands. This is why Donald Trump had to make a different decision. And again, I was saying this at the beginning of the show, Reuters breaking. White House says Secret Service Director Randolph Ailes to leave post shortly. More, Trump has selected James Murray, a career Secret Service member, to take over as director in May. If the individual that you appointed or the individual that's working for you, Sally Yates, you got to fire that. You've got to get rid of that. Insubordination, Sally Yates. I don't know much about this director, but we know that Secret Service has been having some issues, and Donald Trump's got to take steps to clean that up and get that right. Jim Jordan, Democrats talk, abolish ICE, borderless hemisphere, walls are immoral, illegals should vote, raising your taxes, POTUS's actions. That's the Democrats. Here's Donald Trump's actions. Regulations reduced, taxes cut, economy growing, 5 million new jobs, Justice Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, out of the Iran deal, embassy in Jerusalem, hostages home from North Korea and also the remains from the North Korea war, and a new NAFTA. This is huge, folks. This is big. And I've got to show this one to you. This is Cuomo. You're going to love this, guys. This is Cuomo. Oh, man. All right. So at Bob Brinson 1, at Chris Cuomo, wrong again. POTUS right again. Hey, Chris, why can't you admit Trump is right on the issues 99% of the time? LOL. Chris Cuomo interviews an illegal alien. The man's response, priceless. Not the answer Chris wanted. Check this out. Donald Trump went down on the border to give support to Border Patrol agents and help show them how much he supports them. Chris Cuomo goes down and he gets something that he just didn't expect.
They don't say very much. They only say that they're here because situations are very difficult in their country. But, it's almost as if they were encouraged to come,
Is he here to work or is he here for asylum? ¿Viene usted a trabajar o viene a pedir asilo?
No, yo a lo que me den. Trabajo, me dan asilo, me dan asilo.
He wants to work, but if he gets asylum, he says he's willing to ask for asylum.
Why did he take his kid with him to come here if it's just to work?
¿Por qué se trajo usted a su hijo si usted viene a trabajar?
Porque si eso está que si uno viene con el menor, a uno le dan permiso. Si no, yo hubiera ido para Honduras. Yo he estado 3-4 meses preso y hubiera ido para Honduras.
It's what you and I were talking about. He says that if he comes here with his son, then he's allowed to stay.
That's absolutely right, folks. I lived in Southern California, and I knew many, 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 many Mexicans. I knew many that were illegal. There's nothing you could do about it out there in California, and that's all they wanted to do was earn money and send it back home. Here you can work for a couple of years, send all the money back, and literally build a house in Mexico. So take the chance, take the opportunity to do that. E-Verify has to be implemented in this country to prevent this from ever happening again. Curb this from happening. E-Verify. This has to be shut down. At KeltCat, let's review. The Senate Republicans who voted with Democrats to end the national emergency include, and this was a tweet she tweeted out about the despicable, the loser, Mitt, I've lost my mind, Romney. Rand Paul voted against Donald Trump's national emergency. Mike Lee voted against it. Susan Collins against it. Lisa Murkowski against it. Lamar Anderson against it. Mitt Romney against it. Jerry Morgan, Pat Tooney, and I am so sorry, folks. I make no excuses for Rob Portman. Rob Portman is one of the ones that we've been trying to get rid of here in Ohio, but it's very difficult. This may be the time to do it. And this was Mitt Romney just the other day, 5th of April, 2019, just 3 days ago. This is despicable.
I hope people in both parties, as well as people across the country, understand that there's a real crisis right now at our southern border. We're at a rate of about 1 million people a year trying to cross into the country. In the past, when we've had a number like that, several years ago, they were being sent back to Mexico because that's the country they were coming from. They were largely adult males. Now they're coming in as children and families, and because they are asylum seekers, they're being allowed to stay in the country, and in most cases they remain in the country. These are folks who are not able to properly evaluate, investigate, and vet. And as a result, we don't know exactly who they are, why they want to come here. It's a real security risk, and it's overwhelming our systems, particularly on our border states. And so there's a crisis. We've got to deal with this on an urgent basis. I'm going to work with other members of our legislative team, as well as the administration, to say, look, we've got to put aside the partisan bickering on this. This border security is not a partisan issue. It's an American issue. I know the president made this a centerpiece. Put aside that fact. This has to be dealt with on a bipartisan basis. We've got to secure our border to make sure that we're doing the right thing for those people that want to come here legally, as well as for our own citizens.
Despicable. Absolutely despicable. I have no words for how bad this dude is. This is very bad. At Real Power Ties, Democrats come out in support of real Donald Trump. This is a must-see. Power Ties put this together. I've just been acquainted with them just here recently. Check out and listen to the Democrats that are coming to the aid of Donald Trump, unbeknownst to themselves.
You're sitting there, you gather up the flame and said, I got a good idea. Let's gather up everything we have, sell it, give it to some coyotes and take us to a country that doesn't want us, drop us off in God knows where. We don't know anybody. We're going to leave everything that's familiar to us. Let's go. Isn't that going to be a great idea? These are horrible decisions these people are making to decide to come here.
I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
Until the American people are convinced that we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we will make no progress.
Well, look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders. And that should help stem some of the tide of illegal immigration in this country.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
The day when America could be the welfare system for Mexico is gone. We simply can't afford it. The people who should be here are those who come legally at this time. And we've got to, for the time being, enforce our borders.
That is your Democrat Party on display. We have information at our fingertips. We've got the internet. We've got the Google. Google never forgets. And this is how we put it together, folks. We put this show together for you every single night, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And I got to do this one. This is Bernie Sanders. Folks, just listen to Bernie Sanders speak. He's being asked a question about
open borders in our society today.
Open borders.
How would you deal with the social services connected with opening the borders, such as health care, medical care, and...
Who do you think is suggesting opening the borders?
Well, that you're an activist for opening for...
No, I'm not. I'm afraid you may be getting your information wrong. That is not my view.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. I think what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. That is not simply, you're quite right. If your point is you open the borders, my God, there's a lot of poverty in this world, and you're going to have people from all over the world. And I don't think that's something that we can do at this point. Can't do it.
Bernie Sanders saying that, no, there's poverty all over the world. You cannot do it. It just cannot be done. And this at CALII Coder 3. California dictator Gavin Newsom took it upon himself to counter the president of the United States by going to El Salvador. Maybe he thinks president is more his style. God knows he's worthless as a governor. Hashtag recall Gavin Newsom. This is on the borderline of what would be considered illegal, being brought to negotiate or to work with another government as governor of a state. You're circumventing the federal government, and now we've got problems. Gavin Newsom out of control. He's got more problems than one. He's the one out there taxing the water. First state in the union to tax water, California. Good Lord. All right, everybody, fastest hour you're going to spend with anybody, anytime, anywhere. Packed full of information and news and great commentary. Follow us at Smith Radio on Twitter, at Brian P. Smith, and our home at New Right Network. This is New Right Network tonight, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Crush a share, crush a follow. Go to smith.tv, become a Patreon, and help support New News Media. Peace out.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.